Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host, Dr. Amber Q, and I have to admit that I'm in a bit of an introspective phase right now, I think. The world, as we know, is very strange. So many things are becoming apparent, I think, in these dark days. And I find myself really wanting to improve upon my own sort of state of being, really. I think that's the best way to describe it. And I think that in a sense, although it's a really dark time for humanity, in a sense, there is a lot of light as well, as we see so many good people, I think, standing up for what is right. And I've had a number of interesting things that have happened in recent times. And there's one thing that I'd certainly like to share. And we only have limited time on the podcast, so obviously I don't want to be sort of rambling on and on, although some of you may say that that's what I do in any case. But there's something very interesting that I know that I've mentioned previously, and I guess this is just an update to that. Now, for those of you who've been listening regularly, you may remember, or you may not if you missed that episode, you may remember that I mentioned that one day I was out and about taking a photograph of a particular tree, which was a very interesting tree. And of course, I love and adore nature, and I find nature very spiritual, as many people do. And this person, this lovely lady, and did I know she was lovely at the time? I don't know. She had a lovely aura. But anyway, this person who was passing asked me why I had taken a photo of the tree. So we ended up having a conversation, and at the time, I did not know, I guess, how much of a person of influence she was within her area of expertise, which was fashion. And so it turned out this lady and I had a chat, and I think at the time we were both researching our books, and she also has a podcast which has millions of downloads, and I didn't know this at the time, but we had this really amazing chat. And what's really interesting is that when we had this chat, we then agreed to stay in touch, and we connected via LinkedIn. And it's really interesting. I mean, she was so lovely. And so she was writing a book, and she asked whether she could relay our conversation in her book. And I said, of course. And so later on, she sent me sort of this sort of portion of the book, and I sort of read it for accuracy. And there was something in that portion that she hadn't mentioned when I'd met her. And that was a little bit spooky, I have to say, but in a positive way. And she lives in sort of on the other side of the world. And I was she's lovely. As I said, we had some exchanges on LinkedIn, and she's not in London very often. But she said, next time I'm in London, let's meet up. And I thought that was lovely. And I also thought it was very serendipitous, because there's a person who lives on the other side of the world, and I bumped into her, and we've had this fascinating conversation, and it was just really amazing. And I love what she does. I'm deliberately not mentioning it at the moment, because I'll speak about it a little bit more, I think, in a few weeks. But to cut a long story short, I had an invitation the other day from her agent, and her book is being launched in the UK. And I've been invited to the book launch, and it just fills me with so much joy, because she's such a wonderful person. And by the grace of God, I met her on that day. I mean, who would have thought that? Just meeting somebody amazing, who I think is going to make a huge impact on the world. And yeah, it was just so wonderful to meet someone so impactful. I think that I feel very blessed to have met this lady, and I'm going to tell you much more about her after the book launch. But I'm just very excited about it, not just because of the event itself, which I know will be a wonderful occasion, but the opportunity to meet with like-minded people who want to make a positive impact on the planet and on humanity. And, I was just discussing this with one of my friends who does great things for humanity. The sort of, the joy in meeting similar people who want to do ambitious things and wonderful things in life, and just to serve humanity in an impactful way. So, yeah, I think that's all I want to say for today. So, lots to come in the future. I feel that they're going to be big changes, and that's a bit exciting, but a bit scary, if I'm honest. But let's see what happens, all of course by the grace of God. So until the next episode, let's all create connection, and let's not just change lives, let's save lives